The last part of your worksheet, number 10, it's a bunch of grapes. So I want you to try to combine everything you learned on this worksheet to create the most realistic grapes you can. Okay, so the first thing I did was to mix up a perfect grape color, and you can see I tested out different colors on this scrap paper. I started out with this color because I'm doing green grapes. It seemed a little too bright. Often in nature, colors aren't that bright. I mean, flowers, yes, but other things, it helps to just tone them down a little. So I put some orangey red in here, and which are complements, and just toned it down a little bit. So that's the color I'm using, and I'm going to try to leave a highlight. I didn't draw it, but you might want to draw that in. So I'm going to imagine the light source coming this way. So the highlight will be kind of on the upper left of each grape. So I'm just going to paint that first. I'm going to paint over the stem with brown later, so I don't have to be super careful avoiding that that stem. All right, so I have to focus and make sure I leave a white spot on this one. You're probably better off just trying to maybe drawing that in, just for one thing, just so you remember. A lot of times kids will forget to leave the highlight and then it's too late. So I've painted my grapes. I think they could use some darker green in certain areas. So I'm going to pause and dry this. Okay, you can see here I dried the first glaze that I put on, and I added a second glaze. You can see that right in this area, in this area, in this area. While those were still a little bit wet, I went ahead and painted the stem brown, and you can see it bled a little bit here. But you know, I have some of these grapes at home, and they actually have little brown areas in similar places, so I'm not going to worry about it. I think it makes it look even more natural. When the second layer of glaze was dry, I went back and put a third. I'm still waiting for that to dry, and so I'll see how this looks when it's all done. And you can see how sort of realistically you can get things with watercolor. If I really wanted to go all out, I would wait for this to dry completely, and then I would start to add some cast shadows. I think cast shadows aren't very prominent in the project that you're going to be doing as a result of all this, so I'm just going to leave it alone. But I could add some cast shadows by mixing a gray. There's no black, but I have a formula for gray. It's or for black. I think if you take like 3 drops of green and put 1 drop of red in it, it makes a pretty good black. You could try the same thing with 3 drops of orange and 1 drop of blue. You might have to adjust those amounts a little bit, and then naturally to get a gray, you would want to add some water to it. But that concludes my watercolor worksheet tutorial.